Did you know that 95% of people believe they are not living up to their creative potential? That's a staggering number. In a world filled with so much noise, many of us feel stuck or uninspired. We often chase after the same old creative advice, thinking it will unlock our imagination. But what if I told you that most of this advice is not only wrong but also damaging? Research shows that the average person spends only 2% of their day engaged in creative thinking. This means we are missing out on opportunities to think outside the box and innovate. Creativity is not just for artists or writers, it's a skill everyone can develop and use in everyday life. In this video, we will dive into surprising truths about creativity. You'll discover why waiting for inspiration is a trap and how too much brainstorming can actually kill your ideas. We'll explore how boredom can spark your best thoughts and why sometimes quitting is the best choice you can make. Get ready to challenge what you think you know about creativity. By the end, you'll have fresh strategies to unleash your creative power. Let's break down the myths and uncover what really works. Chapter 1. The myth of inspiration strikes. We've all heard that creativity is born in those magical, aha, moments when inspiration strikes. But here's the truth. Waiting around for that moment is a creativity killer. In fact, studies show that 88% of successful creatives have routines, not random bursts of genius. The myth of sudden inspiration sets people up for frustration because it makes creativity feel uncontrollable. Creativity isn't about waiting, it's about working. Author and artist Chuck Close once said, "Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work." The idea that inspiration is a gift that drops from the sky makes creativity seem mystical, but it's actually more about consistency and process. A powerful strategy is to build a creative routine. Set a specific time each day to create, even when you don't feel inspired. This taps into the concept of habitual creativity, a practice that pushes through mental blocks and makes creativity a habit, not a rare event. Data backs this up. People who work on creative tasks regularly, even when they aren't feeling particularly inspired, are 31% more likely to produce high-quality work over time. So, instead of waiting for lightning to strike, focus on building a consistent creative process. It could be writing, sketching, or brainstorming, but do it every day. The more you work, the more likely you are to find those golden moments of inspiration along the way. Chapter 2. Why brainstorming is killing your ideas. Everyone loves brainstorming. But here's the secret. Group brainstorming often leads to mediocrity, not brilliance. Why? Because people tend to hold back their best ideas in a group setting, either from fear of judgment or because they don't want to dominate the discussion. Research shows that individuals generate 45% more ideas when they work alone before collaborating. The biggest problem with brainstorming is that it promotes conformity. When you're in a group, people start thinking alike, which limits original thinking. Psychologist Charlene Nemeth found that dissent and debate, not harmony, spark the most creative ideas. So, instead of aiming for group agreement, try brainwriting, a technique where individuals jot down their ideas independently before sharing them. This way, you avoid groupthink and get more unique contributions. Also, try divergent thinking exercises. Divergent thinking is when you think in multiple directions, coming up with varied ideas rather than focusing on one solution. A simple exercise is listing as many possible uses for a common object, like a paperclip. This forces your brain to stretch in new ways, leading to more creative ideas. If you must brainstorm as a group, set strict rules. Make sure everyone writes down their ideas first and encourage debate. Push people to think differently, rather than trying to reach a quick consensus. Your most creative ideas will often come from the tension of disagreement, not from everyone agreeing politely. Chapter 3. The power of constraints. Creativity thrives under pressure. Most people think that more freedom equals more creativity, but that's not true. Research by psychologist Barry Schwartz shows that too many choices lead to decision paralysis and lower satisfaction. This is why creative work often thrives under constraints. It might seem counterintuitive, but limitations, whether it's a tight deadline, budget restrictions, or specific guidelines, actually push people to be more resourceful and innovative. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who were given constraints produced more creative solutions than those who had complete freedom. Why? Because constraints force you to focus. When you don't have unlimited options, you're required to make do with what you have and think outside the box. A great example of this is Dr. Seuss, who wrote Green Eggs and Ham with only 50 words because of a bet with his publisher. It's now one of his most famous works, proving that limitations can spark brilliance. In your own work, try setting artificial constraints to push your creativity. Limit your time, your tools, or even the resources you use to solve a problem. You'll be surprised at how much more inventive you become. You can also look at constraint-based challenges like Inktober, where artists create one drawing a day based on specific prompts. The challenge lies in the limitation: one drawing, one day, one prompt. The structured challenge pushes creativity in directions you wouldn't go otherwise. Constraints give you something to push against, and that friction is what generates innovation. If you're enjoying this content and want more insights into unlocking your creativity, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips and strategies. Chapter 4. Steal like a genius. Why originality is overrated. There's this huge pressure to always be original. But here's the thing. Total originality is a myth. Every creative idea builds on something that already exists. As Picasso famously said, good artists copy, great artists steal. And he's right. The most creative people borrow, remix, and reimagine ideas from others. It's not about imitating, it's about transformation. Research shows that most breakthroughs in creativity happen through combining or tweaking existing ideas. In fact, studies found that innovation often comes from the recombinant process, taking parts of different concepts and fusing them together in new ways. This means you don't need to reinvent the wheel, you just need to spin it differently. One way to do this is by cross-pollinating ideas from different fields. For example, Steve Jobs famously said, "Creativity is just connecting things." His inspiration for Apple's design came from calligraphy classes, not from other tech companies. The lesson? Don't just look within your own field for inspiration, explore outside of it. Read books, visit museums, or study topics that have nothing to do with your field. You can also use the mash-up technique, where you take two unrelated ideas and force them together to spark something fresh. Think of the combination of music and technology that birthed the iPod, or the fusion of food and art that created molecular gastronomy. These innovative ideas came from combining things that people never thought could go together. So, don't be afraid to steal ideas, tweak them, and make them your own. True creativity isn't about being completely original, it's about seeing connections others can't. Chapter 5. Forget passion. The surprising link between boredom and creativity. Everyone tells you to follow your passion if you want to be creative, but that's not always the best advice. Surprisingly, research shows that boredom, not passion, can lead to some of the most creative breakthroughs. Sounds strange, right? But it's true. A study from the University of Central Lancashire found that when people were bored, their minds wandered, and that mental drift led to more creative problem-solving. Why does boredom work? It forces your brain to search for stimulation, which often leads to thinking in new and imaginative ways. You might have experienced this yourself. Ever notice how your best ideas often come while you're doing something mindless, like showering or driving? That's because your brain has the space to wander and make unexpected connections. To tap into this, try scheduling intentional boredom into your day. Unplug from technology for a bit. No phones, no distractions. Go for a walk without any agenda. Research published in the journal Computers in Human Behavior found that too much screen time reduces creative thinking. So, give your brain a break from constant stimulation and let it get bored. Another trick is to keep a notebook with you when you're doing something repetitive, like waiting in line or folding laundry. Jot down any random ideas that come to you. You'd be surprised at how many creative thoughts pop up when your mind is allowed to roam free. So, stop chasing passion every second of the day and embrace a little boredom. It's like fuel for your creative mind. If you found this content valuable, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join our community for more insights, tips, and strategies to unleash your creativity. Let's keep exploring together.